Hi everyone, I'm Nito Soji, Hikikomori indie game developer from Japan. Today, I want to share my story about how I started game development and how I kept failing it. 5 years ago, I started learning game development from scratch. I needed to learn how to do 3D modeling, how to make textures for them, how to rig, how to animate them. Of course, needed to learn the game engine on top of them. I choose Unreal Engine for my game engine, so I can use its built-in visual scripting tool, which allowed me to skip learning the programming language. But still, I needed to learn various details of the game engine and game logic. Honestly, I was overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge it requires to make a game. I didn't have confidence at all, so I was inclined to team up with a programmer so that I could leave technical details to him. I came up with some game ideas and drew illustrations to pitch these ideas. This game is like Shadow of the Colossus from PlayStation. There are giant fluffy monsters getting angry, so you need to love them by using your whole body to relax them. But I noticed it was just the Shadow of the Colossus and dropped this idea. This is kinda FPS plus Dungeon Master, but monsters are all cute anime girls. When you beat them, her clothes are torn off in a still safe for work manner. Yeah, this idea is pretty common in Japanese otaku media. In this way, I thought I could play to my strengths of doujin experience. But honestly, I didn't want to keep drawing cute anime girls. I wanted to change my career and life path. So guys, please don't look for my old doujin books. Meanwhile, I had been learning 3D modeling and messing around with Unreal Engine as well. I imported my first ever made 3D character into Unreal Engine. At the moment, I couldn't animate my model, so used free animation assets. When I first saw my character was moving around in the game world, it felt so good. It's so satisfying, man. When reaching the maximum speed, this guy starts moonwalking. Hey, watch this. How cool he is. I wanted to make him throw an eggplant. Yeah, I wanted to throw an eggplant for no reason. His eggplant is a homing eggplant and it can kill you as well. Alright, how about the charge shot eggplant? It's getting bigger and bigger while charging, and your fundoshi underwear is fluttering with your charging energy. Oh, I wanted to make my way through a bunch of sunflowers. Also, wanted to see a midnight spectacle. Beautiful midnight spectacle. Nah, it's not the way you make your commercial game. I put my game ideas into the game one after another, but it had never taken shape as a complete game. You need a more concrete game plan before you work on your serious project. That's my takeaway from my first game. I spent half a year on it and it ended up as a failure, but I relatively liked its game feelings. I got a bit of confidence, so decided to keep developing. Because team development has its own risk. I wanted to ship my game as soon as possible. Eggplant game was an ad-lib project and not planned beforehand. This game, Apocalypse Ramen, was my first serious project intended to be a commercial game. Main character is running his ramen shop in zombie apocalypse Tokyo. He needs to serve ramen to customers, but zombies are coming to your shop as well and eating your customers, so you need to beat them up while serving ramen at the same time. I spent more than a year on this game. I learned how to rig and animate characters for this game. I made all 3D assets, characters, animations from scratch. I feel this carrot and onion were well done. But after all, I decided to drop this project. The reason was not much fun to play, unfortunately. The premise looked fun on paper, but it didn't bring fun gameplay that I imagined. Beating up element was not bad, but serving ramen part was just a boring chore. Also, making ramen assets took a lot of time. It would eat up a huge amount of time if I implement various types of ramen, which was my original plan. Another problem was the unnecessary complexity I brought in the game. You can change between third-person view and FPS view anytime. You can toss up your serving ramen and it changes your fighting style while your ramen bowl is in the air. These game elements looked nice to me at first, but they made it hard to maintain the whole game logic. Compared to its cost, it didn't improve the gameplay much. My takeaway from this game is you want to make the basic game loop at first and see if it's actually fun to play. It's dangerous to judge your idea and make a decision just on paper. Almost 2 years had passed since I started game development. I really wanted to ship my game within 2 years or at most 3 years. I really needed to come up with a feasible and commercially hopeful game idea. I was so desperate that I escaped from PC games and sought a sanctuary in the mobile game world. This game is my first and only attempt at the mobile game. It's not what I originally wanted to do, but the great point of making a casual game is its short development time. I made this game within 3 months and finally came to the point that I made an actual executable file for the distribution. I was so excited to finish my first game, but... Did you hear that? That's the error sound the Unreal Engine punishes you with. I haven't ever heard such a merciless, shocking sound elsewhere. I believe some developers are killed by hearing this sound. The big takeaway from this failure was you really need to build your executable file often, so that you can find your error soon. The sooner you find an error, it's easier to detect the reason and fix the problem. I still can't figure out what makes build error on this game so far. Also, I learned the mobile game market is by far more competitive than the PC game. I turn back to the PC game market, namely Steam. Until this moment, I had gained some game dev knowledge through Reddit game dev board. It said that some game genres tend to sell well on Steam, while others don't. If you want to succeed in Steam, it's a good strategy to pick a favored genre for your game. For example, crafting game, surviving game, simulation game were said to be good ones. Crafting games and surviving games are typically big projects, while you can find some successful simulation games and management games that are developed by small teams. This game was Maid Cafe Tycoon, my first attempt in this genre. You are running a maid cafe, expanding your branch shops, competing with rival shops, build your maid cafe empire. Yeah, it's a tycoon game, but also an FPS game. You can sneak into your rival's shop and damage their reputation by breaking their restroom or by dropping a toy cockroach into a customer's cup and such. If you get caught doing a dirty job, it's time to face a nasty brawl with their bouncers. Yeah, I know. I'm serving food to my customers again, despite the Apocalypse Ramen's failure. I couldn't help. Because, real talk, I have never played simulation games and management games in my life. So I couldn't think up with a proper scheme in this genre. Okay, next prototype. This was a building management game and also a base building game. Your building is actually a giant robomech. You will expand your building and use your tenants as your mechanics and soldiers. Destroy your rival buildings and rule Tokyo. Yeah man, I know that. It's not a simulation game nor a management game. But I couldn't man. Because, it's basically a job. Running your shop, managing your building are real jobs in our society. And I couldn't find the joy to recreate these jobs in my games. Rather, I found a pain in my heart because I don't wanna work! Then I came up first day. I couldn't find any other feasible game ideas. The only thing I could play with was my uncommon experience and emotion as a hikikomori. I finally realized that. Or just gave up making fancy ambitious games that I couldn't deliver. I decided to reuse the game assets that I made for Apocalypse Ramen, so that I could complete Day within 2 years at most. But now, almost 3 years have passed. It's super difficult to gauge the development period as a novice game developer. But I came up with a nice ending idea for Day, so I'm positive that I will complete this game no matter what. It still has a long way to go. If you are interested in the actual development process of Day and feel like taking part in that, please consider backing the game. You can find the link below in the description. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you everyone. Thank you.